And hello and welcome everyone to this edition of Social Media Blogcast. I'm Laura Rubenstein and I'm the president of Transform Today, a social media strategy company, as well as co-founder of the Social Buzz Club. And today I'm here with one of San Diego's finest news anchors, Kimberly Hunt. Welcome.
Oh, hi, Laura. Thank you for having me. This is incredible. This whole setup and blogcasting is new to me and just kind of, like miraculous how we're making all this happen.
Yeah.
All the hangouts, people watching live and interacting, and I love it.
A little different from the magic of mainstream media, right?
It's totally different. So fun to learn and to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, why don't you tell everybody, what your involvement in mainstream media has been up until this point, and then we'll get into social media.
You got it. I, for over 20 years, have been the nightly, weeknight news anchor at ABC 10 in San Diego, and for a few years was with KUSI here in town as well, came back to ABC 10, which I've now spent the last 5 years. And it's journalism, and I anchor, but yet I also report. I specifically work with federal agencies on a lot of the stories of sex trafficking and prostitution and border issues and those things that they're involved with. And I love it. I love what I do.
That's great. Well, we recently got reacquainted here at the Social Media Marketing World Conference, and when I bumped into you, I asked you, why social media? Why are you here at the conference? Why did you go to that conference?
About a year and a half ago, Channel 10 made a decision to put talent on Twitter and Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't on either. And I'm one of the few people that were not on Facebook.
Interesting.
So I didn't have, I was very willing and I was interested, but I didn't have a lot of knowledge. So I got on, and what I realized quickly is I loved the relationships. The people that like my Facebook page or that follow me on Twitter, and I'm following, so many people back. You start a kind of relationship, and there's a conversation that can't be had in any other sphere. Mm-hmm. And so as I began to really like it, I wanted to learn more and I wanted to grow it. So I sought out the Social Media Marketing World Conference and was overwhelmed by the talent that were there, people like you. You're incredible at what you do. You're a leader in social media, and it reflects in person. The minute we met, you're social, you're caring. We struck up a friendship right away, and that's what I found about this and so many people that are involved with it.
So did you have any resistance to social media right away in the beginning?
No resistance at all. My response was, someone will have to teach me how to get on Twitter. Like, how do you get on Twitter? I didn't even realize It was like twitter.com.
Can you relate?
Yeah. So they showed me, and I appreciated too that they just said, have fun with it. There are no expectations, mm-hmm. and no one will require you to be anything or do anything. It's you. And that's the other thing that's so different about broadcast news. News is news by definition. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. But I don't make up the daily rundown. I don't decide what we're running to the story. I certainly have an input, but there's many other people involved, and producers and writers, and we all have our jobs with what we do. Where this was, what do you care about today? Wow, I get to post it on my fan page, on Facebook. And to look at it is to really see what I care about and who I am. And you don't even realize that until you take a moment and kind of just scroll over the last 6-8 months of your life on Facebook, and you go, wow, I'm transparent here.
Yeah, not only are you transparent, but you're also, it's like your own broadcasting station now, in a sense. And that's kind of what we're doing here at the 22 social offices, and bringing you our own homegrown broadcast for you, and now you get to say it. So you can, I think that's really brilliant that 10 News would have you do that and say, here, go, it's yours, mm-hmm. and you get to decide, because you're a person, and it's a way to bridge media to people and make it a lot more personal. I think it's brilliant.
Well said. That's exactly what it does. And Twitter is different because it is my news feed. Mm-hmm. And every day, whether today I'm deciding between the controversy over the ownership of the Clippers, and it's my news feed. It's how I would stack the news for that morning.
Right.
The things that I think, wow, let me tell people about this. And I sprinkle in what I'm doing over the weekend, at the March for Babies, for the March of Dimes at Balboa Park.
Right.
I tweeted that, and the next day was at Earth Fair, so are you.
Right.
Earth Day at Balboa Park, put that in. So you also then follow my life. You do know where I'm at. And then occasionally it goes to that layer below that is slightly personal. It is personal. It's not slightly. It's personal. But what I'm doing at home, or a milestone in my daughter's life, or something my husband and I have done over the weekend that I think is really neat. And I'll say, wow, look at this. But where my husband and I were that evening.
And this is you're a really great example, because I tell people a lot of times, they say, well, I don't want to share a whole lot about my private stuff. You're not sharing private stuff, but you are sharing personal. And it's professionally personal. You're giving people a flavor of what you're doing in your real life, because you are a person. You're not just a pretty face on camera who's reporting somebody else's news. You're a whole person, and that's what I love about social media. And by the way, if anybody wants to comment with us or chat with us, go to socialmediablogcast.com, scroll underneath the video, and feel free to comment, and we'll take some questions. We'll look out for them as we go along. We'll see how much we can do of that, but we're happy to engage while we're live. And also, I'm at Coach Laura, and Kimberly on Twitter.
10 News Hunt on Twitter.
10 News Hunt. Great. So certainly after the broadcast, we'll be tweeting with you for sure. So, and we'll repost it for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it live. So great. So you've got some personal stuff. It's the news as you would post it. Do you have a favorite network? Is it Twitter, Facebook, or something else?
Facebook and Twitter, and I have to say both because I use them very differently.
Okay.
As I've kind of alluded to, Twitter is far more often in a day, and it does, if you stroll through my feed for the day, you will get the highlights of the world in news.
Yes.
And then you will sprinkle in, perhaps, maybe one day I won't, but some days it's all kind of what's in the news, but then a little of me sprinkled in, but you get that. Facebook is far fewer, but it's either a beautiful picture, for instance, the two popes being canonized over the weekend, and this incredible picture from St. Peter's Square that because I follow so many people from all over the world, so I really do not only have ABC's access to video and reporters that are telling us things,
right.
So we do have information, but people all over the world, so it's just this incredible picture of the crowd of 800,000. Wow. It has St. Peter's Basilica in the background, wow, and a flag of both popes being, and it was just
nice.
This beautiful
really nice.
Picture, and that means a lot to me, and I think it's beautiful, and so that's all I put on for that day. Another day it might just be something really special in my life, the announcement for my daughter's college graduation, which is coming up, and I'm doing it, and I went, she's actually doing this, and I better get these announcements out, and I took a little picture and I put it out, so what means a lot to me. So Facebook is that without me telling you what's going on in the news all day. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing that on Facebook.
And it's more social, and you're really using the networks as they are kind of culturally being used. It's more social on Facebook. It's more, blips of news and social combo on Twitter. So it's perfect. I mean, now, so you share out these pieces of content and your own personal stories, so to speak. And you mentioned earlier relationships are important. Say more about that. Why do you feel social media is good for that? How are you doing that?
It's interesting you asked me that as a question, because the one thing that was in my mind a minute ago as we were talking about Twitter and why I put what I put. And I thought of it, and then we kind of moved on, and you've asked the question because that is the reason that I share what I do share. Okay. Is because part of the magic of this that I realized when they put me on and I began to get more proficient and realize, how to follow people, reply to people, retweet people, quote retweet, and get this conversation going, is people that follow me, people that retweet, that reply to me, that favorite something, we're starting a relationship. I feel like I know them as well as I hope and think that they feel like they kind of get to know me behind the ABC 10 News anchor woman. And
right.
when you get that relationship and there's a caring back and forth, because although you've never met them in person, you do feel that there's a warmth and a familiarity. And other people that I follow that will post things, you know, I just did this, or even some people in the media will say, oh, I just did my first show, and I'm really excited for them. Well, I've never met them, but I'm really excited for them. And so when I share it, it's because you feel like you're sharing to a group of people you are familiar with, that care about you, and you have a nice relationship.
Right.
That's why I would tell them. Otherwise, I wouldn't care to tell them, nor would I think they would care.
Right, right. And there's kind of a limitation in your normal mainstream media. You don't get that feedback. So is the feedback important? Why is that important?
I love that, and you're absolutely right. It would be fun when we're doing a newscast if people were, you know, that people were listening could just say, hey, I thought that too. Or you can't hear them say their thoughts as they watch a broadcast in the evening. And this is kind of a way that, and as you know, there's television here. We're all on so many different devices. We might have, you know, a mobile device up while we're watching TV. And I think it's neat, and people have done it before, and I see it and I respond, where I'm on the news and they tweet a response to what I just said.
Awesome.
And,
that's cool.
And I check it, it's with me, you know, if I'm not actively engaged in the stories at the moment, when I get a second, I do look. And again, it's, wow, you know, there's Jared, he just commented on that again, and there's Janine, thank you, you know, she's so sweet to always reply about things. You know, I know them without having ever met them.
Right. And you can connect with them and get feedback, and it sounds like it makes your experience as an anchor more rich and more real. Like you're not just pushing out a message, you're interacting now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people bring information to me, whether it's the Boston Marathon 1 year later, whether it was 1 year ago, right after. It was Twitter where a man just tweeted, I just got back. And then just last week, he was just going back for the 1 year anniversary run. And so we immediately connected, and then I connected him with Channel 10, and we did a story. And again, it's that symbiotic, but people bringing information, stories to me is wonderful. I wish every time there's an event, I wish I knew someone there.
Right.
And this is a way they go, hey, Kim, I'm here. This just happened, or here's a picture. I go, wow, thank you.
So if people are at live events and they might know you're there, they should tweet you?
Even if I'm not there.
Even if you're not there. Okay.
Absolutely. Tweet what they want and throw the @10news hunt in so that I'll see it.
Right.
Because we all miss a lot of our feeds, even if we follow each other. You know, you just can't keep up with all of them. But by putting my handle in, I'll never miss it. And so I see it. And I just last week we did a story from something that happened in the news, and someone tweeted me, you know, with the Navy lockdown at Naval Station, tweeted, my friend's husband is locked in a bathroom. And immediately we started a connection, and 10 News then, through this Twitter, talked to the man that was locked in the bathroom. Thank goodness that was a soft air gun, and nothing happened, and everybody's fine. But
yeah, and it's so noisy out there in Twitter land and social media in general, and finding someone you can connect with that kind of has, you know, when I went on your feed that day, that's how I found out about the lockdown. I'm not looking at news, you know, any news site. A lot of people do, but I don't have time. But I'll check in on my connections, because that relationship's so important. And if my connections, like you or other people, are sharing newsworthy stuff, that's how I find out about the news. And I think a lot of people do today. So it's just another way to bring more connectedness.
I agree with you, and I do too. As much, at work, obviously, I have the ABC whole network, worldwide, global network that is what it is, and all of that. But I'm still checking lots of other things, and of course, we have a partnership with CNN, so we have all of that as well. But I'm on Twitter, and I'll see something, and just this morning, just saw a picture of something I already knew about, but I didn't see it from that person's perspective that tweeted that picture that I really connected to.
Interesting.
And that it broadens my knowledge. I don't know everything either, and so I'm using it a little bit in the same way everyone else is. I just have access to other things to add.
So tell us about a little bit more about the benefits that you're experiencing from using social media and what you're hoping to gain.
The benefits are connected. I mean, when you talk about this connected world, it really is connecting me.
Absolutely.
And the relationships that are formed from this, the communication, the level of shared information, this is, it just allowed us in so many ways to, find how we gather news, to just be more ways of gathering news, and then information, and then information gathered within a group of people, all the people that I'm connected with, be it Twitter or my Facebook page, and share that knowledge, and then it's the relationships built in doing that.
That's great.
And they mean a lot to me. When I post on my Facebook page and people like or comment, I look at every one of them, and every person that comments, I think, how nice of them. First of all, they took the time, and then they wrote and became part of what I cared about in some way, or added to it. Sometimes with the news, someone will say, I just attended this global conference on whatever, and this is what I learned, and the speaker's coming to San Diego. That just happened recently.
Okay, great.
And it enriches our lives.
Yes. Yay for social media and enriching our lives. That's what excited me about social media in the very beginning. I thought that it was when I first got involved in social media was 2007. And I was like, it's manna from heaven. It's the panacea. It levels the playing field. I can now broadcast out. I can also connect worldwide like never before. So I think everyone here, if you're not getting it, there's value for everyone on social media, even if you're not an expert. You don't have to be an expert. Just get on. It's not rocket science, right? Anyone can do it.
And that's a good way to look at it, because who cares if you don't know as much as, obviously, people that really understand how it works. You just get on, and first of all, you just read for a while.
Right.
And then you go, that really touched me. I've now learned how to reply. And so now you're replying. And there are no mistakes. It's just you can be as involved or not by your choice. And sometimes it's day to day. Days that get really busy. And sometimes on the weekends, if I'm out doing something and it's very involved, you'll see that there's a lot more time, space in my Twitter feed where I wasn't quite on as much. And then there are other days that I'm in the news cycle that I'm on a lot more. But you have that flexibility. So you can't do it wrong. Right. You can just do it as you want, when you want.
And let's talk about mistakes, because I think mainstream media makes a big hype of some mistakes that happen, that brands do in particular, and people do as well. And so they happen. And it's up to us to be a little generous with people and understand that mistakes happen. And, but we're all human. And that's my whole push on social media is like, it's a place to be authentic. And it's a place to really bring the best of you out in the world. And that's my message to everyone using social media. And that's why I asked you, because I see you doing it, not being an expert, but being an expert by default. Because you're being authentic, and if you're being authentic, you're an expert in you. And you press reply, you press the send button, whatever it is, and it's you. It's there. There's no mistake, like you said. I totally agree with that. That's awesome. One thing so thank you for that.
Gosh, I just didn't know any other way of doing it.
Yeah, and that's good.
Nice
that's good. You see, it's not. That's my message. Anyway, so you talked about finding out about story leads or more connections to enhance stories. What is the best way for someone who has a brand new story idea to approach you? Should they tweet you, or should they do?
That's a great question, because you can at 10 News Hunt, so it's kind of trying to tell just me, okay, people know that if you start with that, it just goes to me.
Right.
Otherwise, but that, and you can say, I know someone that's there, because of course there are only 140 characters, and it alerts me you have something, but my reply is always going to be, wow, I'm very interested. Email me at kimberly.hunt@10news.com, because that's where real information back and forth, if I have a question, that's where that can happen kind of offline.
Yeah.
And then we'll get the story on, we can vet it, I can forward it. That's the other thing. We have a team of managers that decide what we cover every day.
Right.
And I don't decide that. And it's a lot easier to hit the forward button on an email and get it to all the managers that will say, they'll read it over my, the information and say, wow, let's give it to the assignment desk and run it as a story. As it is for me on Twitter, first of all, I can't forward it to anyone that will make the decision. You can alert me if you want, but the email is where it will always have to go.
Perfect.
And posting it on the Facebook page won't do it. I can't even keep up with, because I don't use Facebook like that.
Yeah, you're not using it as real time either, and and also email is more permanent, it seems, because Facebook can get deleted or you don't see it. So the email, kimberly.hunt@10news.com.
Right, and I love story ideas.
Okay,
so
great.
It's great.
So you now have a media contact.
Yeah. Good.
So you're welcome. Thank you for offering to be that conduit. And so we've been talking a lot about your Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Let's tell people the name of it. It's Kimberly Hunt 10 News,
yes.
Right? So
yeah, in that they kind of Channel 10 kind of flipped it. So on Facebook they put my name first and actually gave me a first name. So I'm Kimberly Hunt 10 News, and it's the only one I really use. A person, meaning my married name is Smith, you have to manage a page, a public page. So you might somewhere find me located, but it's not the page I use.
Okay.
Because I really got on with this, it's the only one I use, and it's where my personal stuff gets posted, and anything my family's doing, and we went on summer vacation to whatever, that it's going to be on Kimberly Hunt 10 News. And then the Twitter, they flipped it. 10 News is first, and then just Hunt.
Right.
I have no first name.
You're just Hunt, 10 News Hunt.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy. It's shorter. Twitter only gives you 15 or 16 characters to put your name in. So if your name is long, oh well.
So my first name is 10 News.
Yes. Hello, 10 News. Nice to meet you.
Yes. There's branding.
Very definite branding there. So. And I would like to, I love what you post on your Facebook page. I'd love to see it really take off. So please post. We'll put it in the show notes here for you, and the YouTube video, the link to Kimberly Hunt's fan page. Please feel free to share it. Let people know you saw this video and that you want to. And then, so it's facebook.com/Kimberly Hunt 10 News.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's all go like her, give her a thumbs up, give her a like.
That's great. I'd love more friends and a bigger community, and then we can get more messages out and more. I mean, it helps you to do what you do when your community kind of grows.
And you're such a resource to the community. So that's where I really want to share you to the world, even though you're already in the world. But it's now an interactive sharing. It's like a two-way communication. That's why I love social media. That's why I adored meeting you and hearing your philosophy, because tell me about what you think the state of traditional media's attitude towards social media is in general. Are you unique, or do you think it's leaning more your way?
We are not unique at all.
Okay.
Broadcast television has totally embraced social media. We realize what it does. We realize that how we try to reach out to people that choose to watch us, but you don't know where they are. You don't know who they are. You don't know when they're watching. You don't know what they've seen. You could not do a marketing research project that would give you what you need to know just to connect to those people that choose to spend some time with you, watching you and broadcast. So they've realized that this is how to connect, to find that community, to then get story ideas, and through those story ideas, we better serve people, because once you tell us, hey, this is going on, why don't we ever see that? We read it. We take it to heart. We have a discussion. Look at this. Let's find out more about it. Then we do stories on it. You've just helped to produce and change content. People have power. And so broadcast mediums worldwide get it. They get it.
Great. Well, thank you for being here. Treat, any last comments you want to leave with our viewers today? They're yours.
Oh, I'm having fun. I love to meet everyone, all of you, and I'm grateful when you like the fan page, when you follow me on Twitter. I follow people back. We start a great, fun relationship. So let's do it. I'm thrilled and grateful to be here.
That's great. Thanks for being here. And Jerry's saying, great to see us mixing it up. Thanks, Jerry, for being here. Shout out to you, too, and 22 Social. We're really grateful for that, for another edition of Social Media Blogcast. And we'll see you back here next time. Bye for now. Thank you again.
You are wonderful.
Thanks.
You are.
Well, thank you.
And I'm